Welcome to the Black Mantle with your host, Scholar. As you know, we're going to be discussing information technology, also known as IT. In today's episode, I wanted to talk a little with you about the remote workforce and the combination of technology and where we are in today's world post, what we used to be like back in the day. As you all know, back in the day, and I'm speaking about, as far as the 80s and probably, going into the 90s, you had very, very, very few people who could actually work remote. I mean, it wasn't really a big thing then, kind of, the way like cybersecurity is right now. But the ability for people back then to be able to work remote without the advanced technology that we have would have almost been like impossible, because it required people to be physically at that place of work, whether they were working in, you can take people working in the factory, for instance, in Detroit, in like the car factory, having the manual labor and people like there actually putting the parts and components together for the automobiles. Or you can look at, stores like Amazon, not really being, big, during that time. It was almost like a thought, but not actually like a physical process, if that makes any sense. But when you really think about, if this pandemic, if COVID happened during the early, like the late, or in the midst of the 90s and in the early 2000s, I really think technology-wise we would be like in bad shape. Because when you look at Carrying Day 2020, 2021, what you would see is a lot of companies basically were able to supply their people with laptops, desktops, headsets, and all that stuff to work from home, because not everybody back in the 90s had internet access at their house. You got to understand that people had dial-up. So people were still using AOL on those discs and stuff like that. But the fact that everything has transcended over the course of time, you have some people have fiber directly to home. I knew somebody back a couple years ago that had that. I hope that many people don't have dial-up right now, but some people that live out in the country or in the rural areas, they have to go with like satellite service. And now you got services like a Starlink that Elon Musk had kind of came out with. It's basically, like all of this is, a satellite service, but you basically can take it with you wherever you go, but you pay a initiation fee to at least get the equipment, and then you pay a monthly fee for the service itself. So the fact of what we have right now benefits us tremendously than what we had back in the day, because there's no way technology-wise that we would have been able to handle this pandemic with the stuff that we have back then. Now, moving up to Carrying Day 2021, this is most definitely a test to society, because you have the ability for someone to sit in their home and they can run a multi-million-dollar operation. Now, the technology behind that, whether that company is using, Microsoft Azure, or they're using Amazon AWS or Google GCP platform, Oracle, whatever it may be that their technology team is pushing out, people don't actually have to be in the same location in order to work. So even if a person, like if you take a company like FedEx, for instance, which they, have robots, that we're testing with robots from a documentary or short clip documentary that I saw on Amazon Prime, I believe. It's a short clip documentary just going over how they're using the robots in order to place the orders inside or sort the orders out on the sortation lines and stuff like that. And just think about it. The person who probably is controlling those could probably be sitting at home or somewhere on a remote island. Because it used to be a joke, about a person being able to sit on a remote island and still being able to work, and now that's actually reality. And technology has advanced that so much. I mean, even just the fact of us talking here, through YouTube, just the platform itself, me having these AirPods in and talking to you without wires coming through them, is things are becoming smaller, things are becoming wireless, and things are becoming faster. And it's at the point where you're either getting on board with the way the technology is moving, or you're being left behind. And a lot of companies are really seeing how strong their technology was during and almost post the pandemic. A lot of companies are failing because they don't have the technological infrastructure to support the remote workforce. So when you're looking at companies that may have hundreds and thousands of people, they may have hundreds and thousands of people who actually work physically inside a facility, and very few of their, of course, their corporate personnel working, from home. You can look at companies like AT&T that may have like a call center. Because COVID is going on, a lot of call centers, people can basically do their stuff from home. So it's almost like you would never have to leave your home for anything, because technology has really changed the way that we involve in life. So you can think back in the 80s, the 90s, and early 2000s, where if you wanted food, you had to go out and get it. So the only delivery that I can remember is remembering like Pizza Hut or your Domino's Pizza or some other pizza place that's local in your community that will deliver food to you. So you call, delivery guy comes, you pay, and then, they leave and go to the next order. And now companies are following that track. So now you can basically pay for stuff, ahead of time, and have a delivery person, and a random person drops it off. So let me give you an example. So the other day, I went to Sam's Club, and this is fairly new because I don't like shopping, I don't like going to stores. But now with COVID-19, Sam's Club gives you the ability to, you download the app on your mobile device, you go in the store, you scan what you want or what you're getting or putting in your basket, and then you pay. It gives you a QR code. You skip the lines, you go straight to the door, and the gentleman or woman or whatever, a person at the door, they scan a QR code, they scan your items, and then you walk out. Now remember, pre-COVID, you had a receipt and the person will mark what they saw in the box. So technology has forced companies to jump on board faster with different types of things. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So more and more companies are coming up with that. You can look at your companies like a DoorDash. The idea is not new at all, because pizza delivery companies have been doing this. But what is new with companies like DoorDash and stuff like that is that you can order with just about every restaurant that's in your community, especially if you live in a bigger city. So you pay for the food through an app, whether you use Google Pay, Apple Pay, PayPal, whatever. And a stranger comes to your house, rings your doorbell, drops your food. So there's so many different transactions that's happening. Because when a person gets it, if your home is a smart home, you're gonna know that person's there because you probably got smart cameras, whether it's Rings or whatever. You're showing the person's at your door. You can talk to them through a doorbell, and you may be somewhere at the store. So technology has changed the way that we live. Even right now, they have like Wi-Fi enabled microwaves, Wi-Fi enabled stoves, which I don't understand yet, because I just can't imagine putting some food in the oven and then hitting your Wi-Fi remotely to start it. That's a whole other topic by itself. But just think about how far someone could be behind if they are not on board with the technology perspective by itself. So now you have to look at it a completely different way on the way that things are being handled. Now, overall, what I want you to take from this conversation is that there's two things. One thing is you're going to have people who are definitely afraid of to get that technology, because people possibly spying and collecting information on them. And I'm here to tell you, if you got a cell phone, if you have a cell phone, you've already given up that expectation of privacy there, because it can be tracked. It's a cellular phone. That's how do you think you get cell phone service? That happens. But I can understand how people can be a little bit afraid of allowing different companies to have access to these devices that are in their house. So everything about your life has somewhat of a log of data that's associated with it, of knowing what's happening. So as soon as you click that app to order the food, that information is tracked there. As soon as the food shows up, it's being tracked there. The doorbell that just lets you know that that person is theirs, it's got a log with it. If it's got technology associated with it, it's going to have a log with it, and it's just going to get that way. That's just the way that life is. And so it's almost like making it impossible to even do stuff manually anymore, because we live in a totally different age. And what I love about this channel, Black Mantle and DaVinci Technologies, is being able to educate people about like different types of technology, and definitely bringing a fun and different perspective to it. So I hope that you guys really enjoy today's content. I'm looking to provide even more in the future. So like, listen, and subscribe to Black Mantle and DaVinciTechnologies.com. And I'm eager to read some of the comments below and see what you all think. Other than that, get outside and enjoy this great weather, and have a great day.